The knife plunged into 14-year-old Marcus. Once, twice, 3 times. Blood pooled on the concrete as he shielded 7-year-old Lily behind him. The kidnappers fled into the night, leaving the homeless boy to die. But when Reaper, Lily's father and a Hells Angels member, arrived at the scene, he didn't see a hero. He saw Marcus's jacket, the same colors worn by the rival gang that murdered his brother. His fists clenched. His men surrounded the bleeding teenager. "Daddy, no!" Lily screamed, but Reaper's eyes were already black with rage. What he did next would either save Marcus or bury him alive. Welcome to Hells Angels family. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because this story will touch your heart in ways you won't expect. To my faithful subscribers who've been here from the beginning, may God continue to bless you abundantly. Before we dive in, let's lift this moment up in prayer. Heavenly Father, I come before you asking for your divine protection over everyone watching right now. Bless their families, Lord. Heal their bodies, provide for their needs, and give them peace that surpasses all understanding. Surround them with your favor and let your presence be felt in their lives today. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now, what you're about to witness is the story of a homeless boy who took 3 knife wounds for a stranger's daughter, a biker who learned the true meaning of family, and the corrupt system that tried to silence them both when they uncovered the darkest secret Chicago had ever seen. The first blade entered Marcus's chest with a sound he would never forget, a wet, tearing puncture that seemed to echo in the hollow space between his ribs. Metal scraped against bone, and for a split second, there was no pain. Just shock. Just the surreal realization that this was actually happening. Then came the second strike. His knees buckled. The alley spun. Rain hammered his face, mixing with the copper taste flooding his mouth. Through the chaos, he heard Lily screaming behind him. That high, terrified shriek that only a 7-year-old could make. It cut through his fading consciousness like lightning. Keep standing. Keep your arms wide. Don't let them reach her. The third blade punched into his stomach, twisting, and Marcus's legs gave out completely. He hit the concrete hard, vision blurring, the Chicago skyline above him fragmenting into 1,000 bleeding stars. "Run," he choked out, blood bubbling past his lips. His arms were still spread wide, even as he collapsed, creating a human barrier between Lily and the monsters in ski masks. The rain outside Angelo's diner had transformed the alley into a scene from a nightmare. Neon lights from the restaurant sign reflecting red and blue off-growing puddles. Marcus's blood threading through the water like crimson ink. One of the masked men kicked him aside like garbage, reaching for Lily again. "Daddy!" Her scream tore through the night, raw and primal. The diner door didn't just open. It exploded outward, glass rattling in the frame. Reaper emerged like something conjured from violence itself, 6'3" of leather and rage, the Hells Angels patch on his back catching the light. His boots hit the wet pavement with purpose, each step a declaration of war. His eyes found his daughter first, pressed against his Harley, pink backpack clutched to her chest like a shield. Unharmed. Alive. Then his gaze dropped to the boy crumpled on the ground, lying in a spreading pool of blood that the rain couldn't wash away fast enough. Then he looked up just in time to see the black van's taillights disappearing into south side traffic, tires shrieking against wet asphalt. "Lily!" Reaper closed the distance in 3 strides, dropping to his knees hard enough to bruise. His hands, scarred, calloused hands that had broken bones and built motorcycles, moved over her with desperate gentleness, checking for wounds, for blood, for any sign they'd touched her. "Baby, are you hurt? Did they touch you? Talk to me." "I'm okay, Daddy, I'm okay." Lily's words tumbled out between sobs, her small body shaking violently. But even through her tears, her finger pointed insistently at Marcus. "But Marcus, he jumped in front of me. They had knives, and he didn't even hesitate. Reaper's head turned slowly toward the boy, and that's when the world stopped. The jacket, black leather, too big for the kid's skeletal frame. Crimson stripes running down both sleeves like war paint. And embroidered across the back in thread that seemed to glow under the streetlights. A scorpion, wrapped in chains, its tail curved in a distinctive hook. The iron scorpions. Reaper's vision tunneled. His breath caught in his chest. That symbol. That goddamn symbol had haunted his nightmares for 2 years. Ever since the night they found Tommy's body in that abandoned warehouse, beaten beyond recognition. That same scorpion carved into his chest with a knife. His brother. His blood. Murdered by animals wearing those colors. And now one of them was bleeding out 10 feet away, wearing their uniform like a badge of honor. Something ancient and vicious uncoiled in Reaper's gut. Something that had been waiting 2 years for an outlet. "Get inside the diner," he told Lily, his voice dropping to a register that made grown men flinch. "Right now." "But Daddy, you don't understand. He saved my..." "Inside. Now." The words came out like a whip crack. Lily jerked back as if slapped, her eyes going wide. She'd never heard that tone directed at her before. Never seen this version of her father. The one who existed before she was born. The one who earned the name Reaper. Tears spilled fresh down her cheeks as she stumbled toward the diner door, looking back every few steps. Angelo himself appeared in the doorway, apron stained with marinara, eyes wide behind thick glasses. He pulled Lily inside without a word, understanding instinctively that what was about to happen wasn't meant for children's eyes. Reaper stood slowly, rain streaming down his face, his leather vest creaking with the movement. He began walking toward Marcus with the measured pace of an executioner approaching the gallows. Each step deliberate, each step inevitable. Behind him, the roar of motorcycles cut through the rain's static. 3 bikes pulled up to the curb. Jax, Bones, and Snake, his most trusted brothers. They dismounted in synchronization, chains rattling, baseball bats and tire irons gripped casually in leather-gloved hands. "Boss." Jax jogged over, his mohawk plastered flat by rain, eyes scanning the scene. "Got your emergency text. What the hell happened?" Then he saw Marcus, saw the jacket, and his expression hardened into stone. "Holy shit. Is that..." "Scorpion colors," Reaper confirmed, standing over Marcus now. "Found him here, bleeding." Bones spat onto the concrete, the gesture full of contempt. "Little shit probably tried to snatch Lily himself. Scorpion's been circling our territory for weeks." "No." Reaper's jaw worked. "Lily says he saved her. Took the knives meant for her. And you believe that?" Snake's voice was cold skepticism. "Kids wearing their colors, boss. Could be a setup. Make us grateful, lower our guard. Then they hit us when we're soft." Marcus lay on his side, chest rising and falling in shallow, desperate gasps. Each breath made a wet, rattling sound, the unmistakable noise of lungs filling with blood. His eyes were open but unfocused, staring at nothing, skin going gray-white like newspaper left in the rain. He was dying. Minutes left, maybe less. "You wearing those colors, kid?" Reaper crouched down, his voice deceptively soft. "You with the scorpions? You one of the animals that killed my brother?" Marcus's lips moved, but no sound came out at first. Then, barely a whisper, "And no. Don't you dare lie to me." Reaper's control snapped. He grabbed the jacket collar and hauled Marcus half off the ground, ignoring the boy's scream of agony, ignoring the fresh blood that poured from reopened wounds. "I know that symbol. I buried pieces of my brother because of that symbol. So you tell me the truth, or I finish what those bastards started." "Found it." Marcus's voice was barely human now, ground down to rasps and wheezes. "D-dumpster, behind laundromat. Needed something warm." His eyes, glassy with pain and approaching death, met Reaper's with something that looked like sad understanding. Like he'd expected this. 3 weeks ago, been sleeping, under highway. "He's lying," Bones growled. "Playing you, boss." But something in the kid's eyes gave Reaper pause. Not defiance. Not the hardened stare of a gang member facing death. Just resignation. Exhaustion. The look of someone who'd already lost everything that mattered. "Prove it," Reaper demanded, not loosening his grip. "Prove you're not one of them." Marcus's hand trembled as it moved toward his jacket pocket. 3 guns immediately cocked in response. Jax, Bones, and Snake taking aim at the dying 12-year-old's head. "Easy," Reaper warned them, then grabbed Marcus's wrist before he could reach the pocket. "What are you going for, kid?" Marcus's fingers weakly indicated the inner pocket. Picture, most people scroll past the truth. Don't be one of them. Subscribe now before this gets buried. Reaper reached into the pocket himself, half expecting a weapon, a badge, some kind of trick. Instead, his fingers closed around something small and laminated. A photograph, its edges worn smooth from being handled thousands of times. He pulled it out, tilting it to catch the streetlight. The photograph showed a woman in her mid-30s with kind eyes and dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was crouching next to a younger Marcus, maybe 8 years old, at Navy Pier, Lake Michigan glittering behind them. They were both laughing at something off-camera, the kind of pure, unguarded joy that can't be faked. The woman wore jeans and a Cubs hoodie, but clipped to her belt, barely visible but unmistakable to trained eyes, was a detective's badge. Reaper's blood turned to ice water. "My mom," Marcus whispered, and each word seemed to cost him a piece of his remaining life. "Detective Kate Brennan, Chicago PD, major crimes." He coughed, spewing blood across Reaper's vest. She was investigating the trafficking ring. The name hit Reaper like a freight train. Kate Brennan. Every person in Chicago's underworld knew that name. The cop who'd been getting too close. The detective who died 6 months ago in a car accident. Drove off a bridge, they said. Body recovered from the Chicago River. Closed casket. Case closed within 48 hours. Suspiciously fast, even by CPD standards. Jesus Christ, Jax breathed, looking over Reaper's shoulder at the photo. Kate Brennan. Boss, she was the one working the... I know who she was. Reaper cut him off, his mind racing through implications like dominoes falling. He looked down at Marcus with new eyes. Kate Brennan was your mother? 6 months earlier. Lincoln Park. Marcus pressed himself flat against the chain-link fence behind Lincoln Elementary, watching children flood onto the playground for recess. Their laughter drifted across the asphalt like music from another planet, high and bright, and completely alien to him now. His stomach cramped viciously. He hadn't eaten in 3 days, not since finding that half-eaten sandwich on a park bench near Millennium Park. His mother's voice echoed in his memory, crystal clear despite 6 months of distance. "Marcus, baby, listen to me very carefully. If anything happens to me, if I don't come home one night, you run. You take the backpack I packed for you, and you run. You hide. Don't trust anyone, especially not cops. Not even ones who say they knew me. Promise me, Marcus." Promise. He'd promised, not understanding, thinking it was just her paranoia after too many late nights on dangerous cases. Then she'd kissed his forehead, told him she loved him more than all the stars in the sky, and walked out their apartment door to meet her confidential informant at a warehouse on the south side. He never saw her alive again. The official story came fast. Detective Kate Brennan lost control of her vehicle on Lower Wacker Drive during a rainstorm. Car went through the barrier, plunged into the Chicago River. Tragic accident. Hero cop lost too soon. Full departmental honors at the funeral. But Marcus knew better because he'd heard the phone call she'd made that night. Voice shaking in a way he'd never heard before. "Captain, they're inside the department. Morrison, Jensen, half the task force. They're all dirty. They're the ones running protection for the trafficking ring. I have proof. I have documents. But I need backup I can trust, and I don't." Then the line went dead. 2 hours later, 2 uniformed officers came to their apartment. Their faces said everything before their mouths opened. At the funeral, Detective Frank Morrison himself had crouched down in front of Marcus, put a heavy hand on his shoulder, and said, "Your mother was a hero, son. If you ever need anything, you call me, okay?" He'd pressed a business card into Marcus's palm. The same Detective Morrison whose name appeared 17 times in his mother's hidden case files. The same Morrison she'd been preparing to expose. 3 days after the funeral, Marcus ran, just like she'd told him to. For 6 months, he learned to be invisible. Learned which alleys offered the best shelter, which dumpsters behind which restaurants had the best food waste, which shelters asked too many questions. He learned to recognize unmarked police cars, to spot surveillance patterns, to disappear into crowds. He became a ghost haunting his own city. Until 3 weeks ago, when he saw the black van. It appeared every Tuesday night, circling Angelo's diner between 7:30 and 8 p.m. It always slowed down when the little girl with the pink backpack appeared, the daughter of the massive man in Hell's Angels leather they called Reaper. Marcus recognized predators. He'd been running from them for half a year. So he started watching too, establishing his own surveillance from the alley across the street. He memorized the pattern. Reaper arrived at 7:40 p.m. exactly, ordered takeout, left his daughter by his motorcycle for approximately 4 minutes while he waited inside. Every Tuesday. Clockwork. The man clearly believed his reputation alone would protect her. But reputation meant nothing to men in unmarked vans with blacked-out windows. Last Tuesday, Marcus finally saw the driver's face when he lowered his window to light a cigarette. Detective Frank Morrison. The same cop who'd promised to help him. The same cop whose name was in his mother's files under corrupted, do not trust. The same cop who'd told Marcus to disappear for your own good, kid, the day after the funeral. Now Morrison was stalking a 7-year-old girl. Marcus didn't understand why. Didn't understand what a biker's daughter had to do with trafficking rings and dirty cops. But he understood one thing with perfect clarity. He couldn't let another child lose their parent the way he'd lost his mother. So tonight, when the van door slid open and 2 men in ski masks rushed toward Lily, Marcus didn't think, didn't calculate odds or consider consequences. He just ran. She was investigating the trafficking ring, Reaper said slowly, pieces clicking together with sickening clarity. Kate Brennan was the cop getting close to exposing the whole operation. And then she accidentally drove into the river. Not an accident. Marcus gasped, fresh blood bubbling between his teeth. Murdered. Made it look like crash. Snake stepped forward. Boss, 6 months ago. That's right before Tommy got hit. The realization struck them all simultaneously. Holy shit, Jax whispered. Tommy wasn't killed over territory. He was killed because he was working with her, Reaper finished, his voice hollow. He looked down at Marcus with dawning horror. My brother was helping your mother investigate. Marcus managed the smallest nod, his eyes fluttering. Partners. Undercover. Both killed. Same night. Same people. Drop a comment right now. What city are you watching from? You're part of this story now. The rain seemed to pause. The whole world held its breath. Reaper had spent 2 years believing his brother died in a gang war. 2 years planning revenge against the Iron Scorpions. 2 years mobilizing his club for retaliation. 2 years completely, catastrophically wrong about everything. The kidnappers. Marcus's voice was fading now, each word fainter than the last. Their wrists, left wrists, check the tattoos. Reaper's mind flashed back to the chaos. In the brief struggle before they fled, he'd seen it. Just a glimpse, but unmistakable. A scorpion wrapped in chains, identical to the one on Marcus's jacket. The same symbol that had been carved into Tommy's chest at his murder scene. They weren't trying to kidnap Lily for ransom, Reaper said, the truth assembling itself like a weapon. They were using her as bait, to flush you out of hiding. For 6 months. Marcus's chest barely rose now. Morrison's been hunting, knows I have. Mom's files, evidence. His eyes rolled back. His chest stopped moving. No. Reaper pressed 2 fingers to the boy's neck. There. Faint. Irregular. But there. A pulse. Barely. Jax, get Doc Sterling on the phone right now. Tell him we're coming in hot. Tell him it's critical. Tell him to prep for penetrating trauma. Boss, we don't know if we can trust. I said call him. The words came out like a thunderclap. Reaper scooped Marcus into his arms, the boy's blood, warm and too abundant, soaking into his leather vest. The kid weighed almost nothing, all bone and angles, like something already halfway to being a ghost. Bones, grab my bike. Snake, get Lily from inside. Move. Reaper. Jax's voice dropped low, urgent. If this kid's telling the truth, if Morrison's dirty and tied to the trafficking ring, then we just stepped into something way bigger than club business. This could bring federal heat down on all of us. I know. Could get the whole charter shut down. I know. Could get every single one of us killed or in federal prison for the rest of our lives. Reaper looked down at Marcus's unconscious face. 12 years old, homeless, orphaned, alone, fighting battles he should never have had to fight. Taking knives meant for a stranger's daughter because it was the right thing to do. Tommy's voice echoed from memory. Sometimes you choose the fight, brother. But sometimes the fight chooses you. And when it does, you either stand or you die on your knees. Then we die standing, Reaper said quietly. Now move. We've got maybe 5 minutes before he bleeds out. Motorcycles roared to life. Snake emerged from the diner with Lily, who fought against his grip, trying to reach Marcus, tears streaming down her face. Is he going to die? Daddy, is Marcus going to die? Not if I can help it, baby, Reaper said, climbing onto his bike while cradling the boy against his chest. Hold on to Snake tight. We're going fast. As the convoy of motorcycles tore through Chicago's south side, rain hammering their faces, Reaper cradled Marcus and whispered a promise the boy couldn't hear. You saved my daughter, kid. Now I save you. Whatever it takes. Whatever it costs. Thunder cracked overhead like a gunshot. 3 blocks away, invisible in the rain and darkness, the black van completed its circle and pulled into an alley. Inside, Detective Morrison lifted his phone with steady hands and made a call. The boy's alive, he said flatly. Reaper has him. They're moving toward the industrial district. On the other end, a voice responded, calm, cold, bureaucratic. Activate Protocol Black. Burn them all. No survivors this time. Morrison disconnected and started the engine. In the passenger seat, his partner checked his weapon. You think the kid talked? The partner asked. Morrison's smile was razor thin. Doesn't matter. They're all about to have a very unfortunate accident. He pulled out into traffic, following the distant roar of motorcycle engines, and somewhere in the storm, lightning illuminated the scorpion tattoo on his left wrist. Doc Sterling's clinic wasn't listed in any medical directory. It existed in the basement of a condemned auto body shop on Chicago's industrial South Side, where questions died at the door and cash bought silence. The operating table was a reinforced workbench under fluorescent lights that flickered like dying stars. Medical equipment, some legitimate, some suspiciously military-grade, lined steel shelves bolted to concrete walls. Reaper kicked the door open, Marcus's limp body cradled against his chest. Doc, I need you now. Sterling emerged from the back room, gray-haired and stone-faced, wearing surgical scrubs that had seen too many emergencies like this. He was 73 years old, a former Army field surgeon who'd lost his license after performing unauthorized operations on soldiers the VA had written off as dead. The Hells Angels had saved him from homelessness. Now he returned the favor in blood. One look at Marcus and Sterling's expression hardened. Get him on the table. Jax, scrub in. Bones, I need O negative from the cooler, for bags. Snake, start in 4-line, 18 gauge. Move. They moved. Reaper laid Marcus down, and under the harsh lights, the damage was catastrophic. 3 puncture wounds, chest, abdomen, lower ribcage. Blood pooled on the table, dripping onto the concrete floor with metronomic precision. The boy's lips were blue. His skin looked translucent, like paper held up to light. He's in hypovolemic shock, Sterling muttered, cutting away Marcus's jacket and shirt with practiced efficiency. Lost at least 40% of his blood volume. Jax, bag valve mask, keep him oxygenated. Reaper, unless you're planning to help, get out of my operating room. Doc, out. Reaper backed toward the door, but Lily broke free from Snake's grip and ran to the table, her small hand closing around Marcus's limp fingers. Don't die, she whispered, tears streaming. Please don't die. You saved me. Please. Lily, baby, come on. Reaper gently pulled her away. Let Doc work. But what if he? Then we pray he doesn't. Reaper guided her to the corner where a battered couch sat against the wall. She curled into his side, shaking, her pink backpack still clutched like a lifeline. Behind them, Sterling worked with brutal efficiency. Scalpel. Retractor. Suction. Jax. More suction. I can't see the bleeder. There. Clamp. Another. His inferior vena cava is nicked. That's our primary problem. If I can't repair this in the next 3 minutes, he's gone. The heart monitor beeped steadily, then irregularly, then a single, sustained tone. He's flatlining. Jack shouted. V-fib, charging to 200. Clear. The defibrillator paddles pressed against Marcus's bare chest. His body arched off the table, then collapsed. Still flatlining. Again. 300. Clear. Another shock. Another terrible stillness. Lily buried her face in Reaper's vest, sobbing. Reaper's jaw clenched, so tight his teeth ached. Around the room, hardened bikers, men who'd seen violence that would break ordinary people, stood frozen, watching a 12-year-old boy fight death. Come on, kid, Sterling growled, compressing Marcus's chest with mechanical precision. You took 3 blades for a stranger's kid. You don't get to quit now. Come on. 30 seconds of CPR. Another shock. The monitor beeped. Once. Twice. Settled into an irregular but present rhythm. We got him, Sterling breathed. Barely. Jax, hang another unit. I need to repair this vessel before we lose him again. Most viewers scroll past without subscribing. Don't let this story vanish. Hit that button now. The surgery stretched into an hour. Then 2. Reaper couldn't sit still. He paced the basement like a caged animal, boots wearing patterns into concrete. His mind wouldn't stop racing. Kate Brennan. Tommy. The Scorpions. Morrison. The pieces were there, but the picture they formed was too big, too dark. Boss. Bones appeared at the bottom of the stairs, holding a backpack, tattered, water-stained, stuffed to bursting. Found this in the alley where the kid was hiding. Must be his. Reaper took it, unzipped it slowly. Inside, 3 changes of clothes, all too small. A worn paperback, The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, pages dog-eared and falling apart. A plastic bag containing exactly $47 in crumpled bills. A flashlight with dying batteries. And at the very bottom, wrapped in a plastic grocery bag to keep it dry, a detective's badge and a manila folder thick with documents. Reaper pulled out the badge first. Detective Kate Brennan, badge number 4782, Chicago Police Department, Major Crimes Division. The photo showed the same woman from Marcus's picture, but in uniform, hair pulled back, expression serious. The folder contained photocopies of case files, surveillance photos, financial records, and handwritten notes in precise cursive. Reaper spread them across a workbench, his brothers gathering around. The first document was dated 8 months ago. Confidential investigation. Human trafficking operation, Southside Territory. Kate Brennan had been tracking a trafficking ring operating out of Chicago for 3 years. The operation moved girls, some as young as 12, from South America through Mexico into the Midwest. The notes detailed routes, safe houses, payoff structures. But it was the names that made Reaper's blood run cold. Detective Frank Morrison, Task Force Lead. Sergeant Paul Jensen, Evidence Control. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, Tactical Operations. Captain Richard Stone, Departmental Oversight. For names. For cops. All taking payoffs ranging from $50,000 to $200,000 monthly. And then, paper-clipped to the last page, a photograph that stopped Reaper's heart. His brother Tommy, alive, sitting across from Kate Brennan at a coffee shop. The timestamp read 7 months ago. Tommy's handwriting was scrawled across the back. Meeting number 4 with Detective Brennan. She's legit. We can trust her. The trafficking ring is using biker clubs as unwitting transportation. They're setting us up to take the fall. Need to move fast before they realize we know. Jesus Christ, Snake whispered. Tommy was working undercover with a cop. Not just working with her, Jack said, reading through more notes. They were building a case together. Tommy was feeding her information about shipments the Scorpions were running. Shipments they didn't even know contained trafficked girls hidden in legitimate cargo. Reaper's hands shook. For 2 years, he believed Tommy died in a gang war. 2 years of rage directed at the wrong enemy. The Scorpions weren't his killers, Reaper said slowly. They were his targets. Morrison found out Tommy was helping Kate build a case. So he killed them both and made it look like gang violence. Another document showed Morrison's financial records. Kate had somehow obtained his bank statements. Offshore accounts. Regular deposits from a shell corporation registered in Panama. $3 million over 18 months. Boss, look at this. Bones held up a photograph. Grainy, taken from distance with a telephoto lens. It showed Morrison meeting someone in an underground parking garage. The other person's face was obscured, but their wrist was visible. A scorpion tattoo, wrapped in chains. The Scorpions aren't a gang, Reaper realized. They're a cover, a front. Morrison created them, uses them as muscle and scapegoats. When things go wrong, blame the gang. When competition needs eliminating, send the gang. When cops get too close, murder them and blame gang violence. Jax finished. Holy shit. This goes all the way up. Captain Stone, that's almost the top of the department. The heart monitor's steady beeping provided counterpoint to the horror unfolding across the documents. Marcus had been carrying the evidence that could destroy Chicago PD's upper echelon. A 12-year-old homeless kid, hunted by corrupt cops, hiding in alleys with proof that could topple an empire. Why grab Lily, though? Snake asked. What's she got to do with any of this? Reaper had been wondering the same thing. Then it clicked. She's leverage. Morrison knows the kid's been watching her. Probably figured if he grabbed her, Marcus would try to intervene. Then Morrison gets Marcus and the evidence, eliminates the witness, case closed. Except Marcus didn't run, Bones said quietly. Crazy little bastard attacked armed kidnappers instead. Thousands watch, but don't subscribe. Prove you're different. Like this video right now. Behind them, Sterling finally stepped back from the operating table, stripping off bloody gloves. He's stable. Barely. Lost too much blood, had to repair major vessel damage, and one lung partially collapsed. Next 48 hours are critical. If infection sets in or internal bleeding resumes, I can't help him. But for now, he's alive. Lily was asleep on the couch, exhausted from crying. Reaper covered her with his leather vest and approached the table. Marcus looked impossibly small, impossibly fragile, chest wrapped in white bandages already showing spots of red. And 4 ran into his arm. The heart monitor beeped its steady promise. Alive, alive, alive. You did good, Doc, Reaper said quietly. Don't thank me yet. Kids got along. Marcus's eyes snapped open. Not groggy or confused. Wide. Terrified. Urgent. He grabbed Reaper's arm with shocking strength for someone who'd just flatlined twice, his fingers digging in like claws. His mouth opened, words tumbling out in a desperate rush. Detective Morrison is coming for Lily. She's not the target. She's the bait. He's going to. At that exact moment, Reaper's phone rang. The ringtone echoed through the basement like a death knell. Reaper pulled it from his pocket, saw the number, and his entire world shifted on its axis. Sienna home. His wife. Calling at 11:47 p.m. when she should be asleep. He answered, pressing the phone to his ear. Sienna? Baby what? Hello, Reaper. Morrison's voice was ice-cold, professionally calm. I have your wife. She's unharmed for now, but that can change very quickly. You have something I need. I have something you need. I believe they call this a negotiation. The phone was on speaker now. Everyone in the basement heard it. Marcus's eyes went wide with horror. No, 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 he mouthed. You son of a, Reaper started. You have 2 hours, Morrison interrupted. Bring me the boy and any evidence he's carrying. In exchange, your wife goes home alive. Try anything clever, and I mail her to you in pieces. Clock starts now. The line went dead. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Reaper's phone buzzed with an incoming image. It was Sienna, duct taped to a chair in an empty warehouse, blood trickling from her nose, eyes wide with fear. And standing behind her, gun pressed to her temple, was Detective Frank Morrison. The timestamp read, sent 23 seconds ago. Marcus tried to sit up, pulled at his 4. No, you can't trade me. If he gets the files, everyone dies. The girls, the witnesses, everyone. And Lily. Oh God, Lily still. What about Lily? Reaper demanded, grabbing Marcus's shoulders. What about my daughter? Marcus's voice cracked, tears streaming down his face. Morrison doesn't want me for the evidence. He wants me because I'm the only witness who knows the truth. Your wife. He took her to force you into the open. But his real target has always been Lily. She's seen his face. She can identify him. He's going to kill your wife, kill me, and then come for your daughter to eliminate every loose end. The phone rang again. Everyone stared at it like a bomb about to explode. Reaper answered. Morrison's voice was silk over steel. Just so we're clear on the stakes, you have 117 minutes. Don't be late. Then, in the background, Sienna screamed. The line went dead again. The silence after Sienna's scream was absolute, the kind of quiet that presses against eardrums and makes breathing feel like an act of violence. Reaper stood frozen, phone still pressed to his ear, listening to dead air where his wife's terror had just lived. Then the phone shattered against the concrete wall. Morrison! The roar tore from Reaper's chest, primal and raw. He grabbed the workbench, flipped it, sent tools and documents scattering across the basement floor. I'm going to rip his spine out through his throat. Boss! Jax caught his arm before he could destroy anything else. We need you thinking, not raging. He has Sienna. He has my wife. And we're going to get her back, Jax said firmly. But not by losing our heads. Marcus just told us Morrison's playing a bigger game. We need to think this through. Marcus had collapsed back onto the operating table, chest heaving, monitors beeping frantically. Doc Sterling pushed him down gently. You just had major surgery, kid. You move like that again, and you'll tear every suture I placed. Don't have time, Marcus gasped. Morrison's warehouse. It's a trap. He doesn't want to trade. He wants everyone in one place so he can eliminate all witnesses at once. Snake stepped forward, arms crossed. How do you know that? Because that's how he killed my mom. Marcus's voice cracked. She thought she was meeting a confidential informant. Instead, Morrison was waiting with 4 men. They made it look like she lost control of her car, but she was already dead when it hit the water. The basement erupted with overlapping voices, questions, accusations, plans forming and dissolving. Through the chaos, Lily stirred on the couch, Reaper's leather vest sliding off her small shoulders. Her eyes opened, red from crying, and found her father across the room. Daddy? What's wrong? Where's Mommy? The question cut through everything else like a knife through silk. Reaper crossed to her in 3 strides, knelt down, cupped her face in his hands. She's in trouble, baby. Bad people took her, but I'm going to get her back. I promise. The same bad people who tried to take me? Reaper hesitated, then nodded. Lying to her now would only make things worse later. Lily's lower lip trembled. Is it because of me? Because Marcus saved me? No, baby. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. But even as he said it, Marcus's words echoed. Morrison's real target has always been Lily. She's seen his face. She can identify him. Bones pulled out his phone, started making calls. I'm rallying the full charter. Every brother within 50 miles. We roll up on Morrison with 40 bikes and enough firepower to level a city block. That's exactly what he wants, Marcus said weakly from the table. He's dirty, but he's still CPD. You attack a cop openly. It doesn't matter if he's corrupt. Every law enforcement agency in Illinois comes down on the Hells Angels. He gets you arrested or killed and eliminates his problems legally. So what? Snake's voice dripped contempt. We just hand you over? Let him win. No. Marcus struggled to sit up again despite Sterling's protests. We use his trap against him. But first, you need to know something else. He looked directly at Reaper. There's someone in your club feeding Morrison information. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Bullshit, Bones said immediately. We're brothers. We don't betray brothers. Then how did Morrison know exactly where we'd be tonight? Marcus shot back. How did he know Lily would be at Angelo's diner at exactly 7:40 p.m.? That's not public information. Your club's movements aren't posted on social media. Someone told him. Jax's expression darkened. Kid's right. We only discussed tonight's plans at yesterday's chapel meeting. Morrison moved on Lily less than 24 hours later. That's not coincidence. Who was at that meeting? Reaper demanded. Jax counted on his fingers. You, me, Bones, Snake, Axel, Torch, Razor, and Dice. 8 brothers total. One of those 8 is working with Morrison, Marcus said. My mom's files mention a source inside local MC. She never got a name. But Morrison has someone inside your club. Most people watch corruption win. Don't be one of them. Like and subscribe now. Reaper's mind raced through possibilities, rejecting each one immediately. These were men he'd known for years. Men who'd bled beside him, buried brothers with him, raised their kids alongside his. The thought of one of them betraying the club was acid in his gut. "We narrow it down," he said finally. "Who knew the specific details? Location, timing, route." "All of us," Snake admitted. "You announced it at chapel. Said you were taking Lily for your Tuesday tradition, Angelo's at 7:30. But who else knew Sienna would be home alone tonight?" Jax pressed. Silence. Then Bones said quietly, "Axel, I heard him on the phone yesterday afternoon, telling someone that Sienna wasn't going to the clubhouse meeting. Said she was staying home because she had some work thing." "Axel's been my right hand for 15 years, Reaper said, but his voice lacked conviction. "He's godfather to Lily. He was at my wedding." "Boss, where is Axel right now?" Jax interrupted. Another silence, this one heavier. Reaper pulled out his phone, or would have, if he hadn't just destroyed it. He grabbed Jax's instead, pulled up the club's group chat. His last message, sent 40 minutes ago, emergency. Doc's place. All brothers rally. Responses had flooded in. Torch was en route from Oak Park. Razor was 20 minutes out. Dice was finishing a run but would be there within the hour. Axel's message, sent 37 minutes ago, simply read, "Copy. On my way." "He should be here by now," Snake said. "He lives in Bridgeport. 10-minute ride max." Reaper's jaw clenched. "Call him." Jax dialed. It rang 6 times, then went to voicemail. He tried again. Same result. "Could be nothing," Bones offered weakly. "Bike trouble. Traffic. Could be." Marcus's monitors started beeping rapidly. Not from medical distress, from his hand slamming the emergency call button. "It's not nothing. Don't you understand? Morrison has your wife to force the trade, but he also needs you away from Lily. If Axel's the mole, and he's not here with the rest of you." Reaper's blood turned to ice. "Where's Lily?" he whispered. Everyone turned. The couch was empty. Reaper's leather vest lay discarded on the cushions. "Lily!" Reaper's roar shook the basement. He took the stairs 3 at a time, emerging into the abandoned auto shop above. "Lily, baby, where are you?" The shop was dark, empty, silent except for rain hammering the roof. The side door, the one that led to the alley, stood slightly ajar. "No, no, 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 no." Reaper sprinted outside into the rain. The alley was empty except for parked motorcycles and an overflowing dumpster. No pink backpack. No 7-year-old girl. Then he saw it. Lily's hair tie, the purple one with butterflies that she wore every single day, lying in a puddle 10 feet away. His phone, Jax's phone, rang in his hand. Unknown number. He answered, already knowing, already dying inside. "Looking for something?" Axel's voice. 15 years of brotherhood reduced to this moment of betrayal. "She's safe with me, brother. For now." "Axel, if you hurt her." "You'll what?" "I'm already dead if Morrison doesn't get what he wants. At least this way, I get paid enough to disappear to somewhere nice. Brazil, maybe. Costa Rica." "Why?" The word came out broken. 15 years, Axel. 15 years. "Because you got everything." The casual tone shattered into rage. "The respect, the presidency, the family. While I stayed second in command, watching you build your perfect life. Morrison offered me $3 million and a new identity. What did you ever offer me besides leftovers?" Reaper's vision tunneled. "Where are you taking her?" "To Morrison. Where else? He wants the kid, the evidence, and all of you in one place. I'm just delivering part of the package." A pause. "She's asking for you, by the way. Crying pretty hard. Breaks the heart. I swear to God. You have 94 minutes. Come to the warehouse. Bring Marcus and the files. Trade them for your girls, both of them. Simple. You know he's going to kill us all. Probably. But that's not my problem anymore. Clock's ticking, brother." The line went dead. Reaper stood in the rain, trembling with a rage so pure it felt like religious ecstasy. Behind him, his remaining brothers emerged from the basement. Jax, Bones, Snake, all grim-faced and armed. "Axel has Lily," Reaper said flatly. "He's taking her to Morrison." Marcus appeared at the top of the basement stairs, leaning heavily on Doc Sterling, one hand pressed to his bandaged chest. Then we go to the warehouse. We walk into the trap. It's suicide, Snake said. It's the only move we have, Marcus countered. Morrison has both Sienna and Lily now. He holds all the cards. Not all of them. Reaper's voice was cold, calculated. We still have you, and we still have the evidence. He needs both to close this cleanly. That gives us leverage. Leverage against 40 corrupt cops and an entire gang of scorpions. Bones shook his head. We're outgunned 20-1. Then we don't fight fair. Reaper looked at each of his brothers. We hit him fast, hard, and dirty. Jax, call in every favor we have. Dock workers, construction crews, anyone who owes us. Bones, raid the armory, bring everything. Snake, map the warehouse. I want exits, sight lines, weaknesses. Thousands scroll past this moment. Prove you're watching. Subscribe and like right now. They mobilized with military precision. Weapons appeared from hidden compartments. Shotguns, rifles, handguns, even 2 AR-15s wrapped in oilcloth. Body armor, radios, flashbangs. The Hells Angels prepared for war. Marcus insisted on coming despite his injuries. I'm the bait he wants. Use me. You can barely walk, Sterling protested. Then I'll crawl. Those files are the only insurance any of us have. Morrison gets them, everyone dies. I'd rather die fighting. 47 minutes later, they arrived at the warehouse, a massive abandoned structure on the far south side, near the old steel mills. Broken windows gaped like missing teeth. Graffiti covered every surface. The perfect place for things to disappear. Reaper rode point, Marcus clinging to him despite obvious agony. Behind them, 12 motorcycles. Every brother who could reach them in time. Not enough. Not nearly enough. But enough to die trying. They parked 50 yards out. Reaper helped Marcus off the bike, steadying him when he swayed. Last chance to back out, kid. I stopped having chances 6 months ago, Marcus said. They approached the warehouse. The massive loading door stood open, spilling yellow light into the darkness. A figure stood silhouetted in the entrance. As they got closer, Reaper recognized the stance, the leather vest, the build. Axel, his right-hand man for 15 years. His brother, his betrayer. But as they reached the threshold and light fell across Axel's face, Reaper's entire world shattered and reformed. Because Axel wasn't standing there with swagger or guilt or triumph. He stood there with a gun pressed to Sienna's temple. Sienna, duct taped to a chair, blood dried on her face, eyes wide not with fear, but with something else. Something calculating. And behind them, stepping from the shadows, wasn't Detective Morrison. It was Captain Richard Stone. Morrison's superior, the name from Kate Brennan's files. The man at the very top of the corruption chain. Hello, Reaper, Stone said pleasantly. I believe we have some things to discuss. But Marcus wasn't looking at Stone. He was staring at Sienna's hands, bound behind the chair. Her fingers were forming shapes. Sign language. I'm FBI. Undercover 18 months. Morrison doesn't know. Trust me. Reaper's breath stopped. His wife. FBI. Undercover. For 18 months. 18 months of lies. Before he could process this impossible information, Axel spoke, and his voice carried none of its earlier menace. Boss, I'm sorry. They have my daughter. They said if I didn't cooperate, Emma dies. And then the warehouse exploded with light. Flood lamps igniting all at once, blinding them. Forms moved in the brightness. Dozens of them, all armed. A voice echoed from speakers mounted high on the walls. Put down your weapons. You're surrounded. This is your only warning. Detective Morrison's voice. Marcus grabbed Reaper's arm, his face white with terror beyond anything he'd shown before. It's worse than we thought, he whispered. Look at Sienna's neck. Reaper squinted through the harsh light. There, barely visible beneath Sienna's collar, a thin wire leading to something strapped to her chest. A bomb. She's rigged to explode, Marcus breathed. If we fight, if we run, Morrison detonates. Everyone dies. Captain Stone smiled from the shadows. Now then, shall we negotiate properly? The bomb strapped to Sienna's chest was small, no larger than a smartphone, but packed with enough 4 to turn everyone within 30 feet into red mist. The digital display glowed green in the harsh warehouse lights. 8:42, 8:41, 8:40. 8 minutes 40 seconds until detonation. Captain Richard Stone stepped fully into the light, and Reaper finally understood the scope of what they were facing. This wasn't just a corrupt detective covering his tracks. This was institutional rot from the very top. A captain with 27 years on the force, 3 commendations for bravery, and a pension that could have bought him a comfortable retirement. Instead, he'd chosen this. "Lower your weapons," Stone repeated calmly, adjusting his glasses like a professor addressing unruly students. "Every gun in this room is aimed at you. My men have kill orders if any of you so much as twitches wrong. And if I don't send a cancel code every 60 seconds. He gestured casually toward Sienna. "Well, boom." Reaper's brothers hesitated, fingers still on triggers, eyes darting between their president and the dozens of armed figures surrounding them in the shadows. Jax's jaw was clenched so tight Reaper could hear his teeth grinding. Snake's hand trembled with barely contained violence. Bones looked ready to die fighting. "Stand down," Reaper said quietly. The words tasted like poison. One by one, weapons lowered to the concrete floor with metallic clatters that echoed through the cavernous space. Stone smiled. "Wise choice. Now, the evidence. The files Marcus has been carrying around. Hand them over." Marcus swayed beside Reaper, one hand pressed to his bandaged chest where blood was already seeping through. "They're not here." "Excuse me. I said they're not here." Marcus's voice strengthened despite his obvious pain. "You think I'm stupid enough to bring the only leverage we have into an obvious trap?" Stone's smile didn't waver, but his eyes went cold. "Then where are they?" "Safety deposit box. Downtown Chicago Federal Bank. Only I can access it, and only in person. You kill us, you never find it. And those files go automatically to the FBI, the media, and the Justice Department if I don't check in every 72 hours. It was a complete lie. The files were in Jax's saddlebag 30 yards away. But Marcus sold it with the conviction of someone who had nothing left to lose. Stone studied him for a long moment. "Clever. And desperate. Unfortunately for you, I have something better than your files." He snapped his fingers. From the darkness behind him, 2 figures emerged dragging something between them. No, someone. A woman, unconscious, hands zip-tied, head hanging forward. But not just any woman. Special Agent Linda Chun, FBI. Reaper recognized her from news coverage of a major drug bust 6 months ago. The agent who'd been leading the Bureau's task force on Midwest human trafficking. "Agent Chun has been investigating us for 14 months, Stone explained conversationally. "Very thorough investigator. Almost as good as Detective Brennan was. Unfortunately for her, my people have been investigating her right back. We know about her secret files, her backup evidence, her dead man switches. We know everything." He pulled out a phone, swiped through images, then held it up. The screen showed a house, suburban, modest, with a tire swing in the yard. Through the living room window, clearly visible, were 2 children watching television. A boy and a girl, maybe 9 and 11 years old. "Her kids," Stone said simply. "Michael and Sophie. Right now, they think their mom is working late. They have no idea that a man is sitting in a van across the street with a rifle and instructions to fire if Agent Chin doesn't cooperate fully. So you see, Marcus, your little insurance policy means nothing. Because we have better insurance. Most people watch evil win in silence. Don't be one of them. Like and subscribe now." Sienna's fingers were still moving behind her back, rapid and desperate. "Morrison coming. 30 seconds. Lillian backroom. Northwest corner. Go." But Reaper couldn't move. Couldn't process the magnitude of betrayal. His wife had been undercover FBI for 18 months. 18 months of marriage, of dinners and bedtime stories, and making love. All of it performance? All of it lies. As if reading his mind, Sienna's fingers spelled out, "Love real. Everything else real. Job necessary. Forgive me." The timer on her chest read 6:17. 6:16, 6:15. "Now then," Stone continued. "Here's what happens next. Reaper, you're going to call whoever has those files and tell them to deliver them here. Agent Chun is going to authorize the closure of her investigation and recommend no charges. Marcus is going to disappear permanently, and everyone walks away alive. Simple. And if we refuse? Reaper's voice was gravel. Then I pressed this button. Stone held up a small remote detonator. Sienna dies. Agent Chin's children die. And every single one of you dies when my men open fire. I'd prefer the clean option, but I'm prepared for messy. Axel suddenly spoke up, his voice cracking with desperation. You said if I helped, you'd let Emma go. You promised. Stone glanced at him with mild annoyance. Axel. Dear, stupid Axel. Your daughter died 3 days ago. We kept her body on ice to maintain your cooperation. She's in a freezer downstairs if you'd like to see. The words hung in the air like a bomb of their own. Axel's face drained of all color. His hands began to shake. The gun he'd been holding, the one pressed to Sienna's head, lowered slowly as reality shattered around him. No, he whispered. No. You said, you promised if I promised you nothing. Stone's voice was ice. You were useful. Now you're not. Morrison, if you would. A figure emerged from the shadows to Stone's left. Detective Frank Morrison, the man who'd orchestrated everything, stepped into the light with his service weapon drawn. But he wasn't aiming at Reaper or his brothers. He was aiming at Axel. Wait, Axel started. Morrison fired twice. The first bullet hit Axel in the chest, spinning him backward. The second caught him in the throat. He collapsed against Sienna's chair, blood spraying across her face, his eyes wide with shock and betrayal as he slid to the ground. The warehouse erupted. Jax dove for his weapon. Snake rolled behind a support pillar. Bones grabbed Marcus and dragged him toward cover. Return fire exploded from the shadows, muzzle flashes like deadly fireflies in the darkness. But Sienna moved faster than anyone. Her hands, supposedly bound behind her back, came forward holding something small and metallic. Not zip ties, she'd been free the entire time. The device she pressed to the bomb on her chest was a frequency jammer. The green timer flickered, scrambled, went dark. FBI. Everyone down. Her voice echoed with authority as she rolled off the chair and came up with Axel's dropped weapon in hand. She fired 3 times in rapid succession. 3 headshots. 3 armed figures dropped in the shadows. The warehouse transformed into a war zone. Bullets tore through air, sparked off metal, shattered concrete. Reaper's brothers returned fire with everything they had, outnumbered but fighting with the desperation of men protecting their president. Stone dove behind a steel beam. Morrison sprinted toward the back of the warehouse, toward the northwest corner where Lily. Northwest corner. Sienna screamed over the gunfire. Lily's in the back office. Reaper didn't think. He ran, bullets whipping past his head, concrete exploding at his feet. Marcus somehow kept pace despite his injuries, fueled by pure adrenaline and determination. They hit the office door together. It was locked. Reaper put his shoulder into it. Once, twice. The frame splintered and gave way. Inside, Lily sat tied to a chair, duct tape over her mouth, eyes wide with terror. But alive. Unharmed. Morrison stood behind her with a gun to her head. Stop, Morrison said calmly. Or she dies. Reaper froze. Marcus stumbled to a halt beside him, clutching his bleeding chest. It's over, Morrison, Reaper said. FBI's here. Your men are falling. You've lost. Have I? Morrison's smile was terrifying in its composure. See, that's where you're wrong. I haven't lost anything. Because I still have her. And she's more valuable than you could possibly understand. She's a 7-year-old girl. She's a 7-year-old girl with very specific blood markers. Morrison's gun didn't waver. AB negative. Rare. Matching specific genetic markers for transplant compatibility. Markers that match exactly one person in the world who needs them desperately. Marcus's face went white. No. Oh God, no. What's he talking about? Reaper demanded. Morrison ignored him, addressing Marcus instead. Your mother figured it out, didn't she? Right before we killed her. She discovered why the trafficking ring was taking girls with specific blood types. We weren't just selling them. We were harvesting them. Thousands watch this evil unfold. Prove you care. Subscribe and like this video right now. For who? Reaper's voice was barely human. Who needs Lily's blood? Morrison's smile widened. For me. He pulled back his sleeve, revealing a dialysis port on his arm. Stage for kidney failure. 6 months to live, maybe less. I've been on the transplant list for 2 years, but I'm too far down. Too many people ahead of me. So I built my own list. Found candidates, tested them, harvested what I needed. And Lily. He stroked her hair almost tenderly as she whimpered beneath the tape. Lily is a perfect match. 6 antigen compatibility. The holy grail. You're insane, Reaper breathed. I'm dying. There's a difference. Morrison began backing toward a rear exit, dragging Lily's chair with him. She comes with me. Her kidney saves my life. You interfere, I put a bullet in her brain and die anyway. At least one of us might as well live. Morrison. Sienna burst through the door, gun raised. But she couldn't get a clean shot with Lily in the way. The back door burst open behind Morrison. He backed through it, Lily's chair scraping across concrete, into an alley where an ambulance waited. Not a police ambulance, a private one, engine running. Tell everyone this is what happens when you interfere with inevitability, Morrison called out. Then he was inside, doors slamming, the ambulance peeling away into Chicago's night. Reaper ran to the alley, but it was too late. Taillights disappeared around a corner. Behind him, the warehouse was falling silent. Stone was gone. Escaped in the chaos. Half of Morrison's men were dead or captured. The other half had scattered. Sirens wailed in the distance. Real cops, responding to reports of a firefight. Sienna grabbed Reaper's arm. We have units tracking the ambulance. Morrison can't get far. He doesn't need far. Reaper roared. He just needs enough time to cut my daughter open. Marcus collapsed against the wall, blood soaking through his bandages. But his eyes were focused, sharp, calculating despite obvious shock. He said Lily's a perfect match, Marcus whispered. 6 antigen compatibility. That's not random. That's not coincidence. What are you saying? Marcus looked up at Reaper with eyes that held terrible understanding. Morrison didn't just target Lily because she's a match. He targeted her because... His voice broke. Reaper, how did you adopt Lily? Where did she come from? Her mother died in childbirth 7 years ago. The father wasn't in the picture. Social services contacted the club about adoption. Why does? The father wasn't in the picture, Marcus repeated. Or the father didn't want to be identified. Medical records sealed. Adoption fast-tracked through channels that Morrison would have had access to. The truth crashed over Reaper like a collapsing building. No, Morrison is Lily's biological father, Marcus said. That's why she's a perfect match. That's why he's been watching her. He's not just stealing a kidney from a stranger. He's taking what he believes is rightfully his from his own daughter. Reaper's legs gave out. He hit the concrete hard, the world spinning. His daughter. The girl he'd raised from infancy. The light of his life. Morrison's biological child. Sienna's radio crackled. Agent Chun, we've lost the ambulance. Repeat, we've lost visual on the target vehicle. Multiple ambulances on the road. Can't confirm which. She didn't finish. Because Axel, bleeding out on the warehouse floor, but not quite dead yet, let out a wet, gurgling laugh. They ran back inside. Axel lay in spreading blood, his throat torn open, each breath a bubbling horror. But his eyes were clear, and his lips moved. Reaper dropped to his knees beside him. Axel, brother, where's Morrison going? Where? Axel's hand, slick with his own blood, reached into his vest pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. An address. Private medical facility. Axel gurgled. Off books, Stone owns it. Morrison's been planning this for months. His hand fell. His eyes went empty. 15 years of brotherhood ended on a concrete floor in a pool of blood and betrayal. Reaper took the paper, read the address. Then he looked at Sienna, his wife who'd lied to him for 18 months, and at Marcus, the 12-year-old kid who'd started all of this by being brave when he should have run. We're going to get her back, he said. Whatever it takes. Sienna nodded. FBI will. No. Reaper's voice was final. No FBI. No law. No rules. Morrison wants to take my daughter? Then he just declared war on something worse than any cop or criminal. He stood, covered in Axel's blood, surrounded by bodies and brass casings and broken trust. He declared war on a father who has nothing left to lose. Marcus struggled to his feet. Then let's finish this. They moved toward the exit, toward the motorcycles, toward the final confrontation. Behind them, Stone's voice echoed from hidden speakers they hadn't noticed. You're already too late, Reaper. By the time you arrive, the surgery will be complete. Lily will save Morrison's life. And you'll have to live knowing that your daughter's sacrifice gave your enemy everything he wanted. Reaper didn't respond. He just rode into the darkness with vengeance in his heart and murder in his eyes. The address led to an abandoned hospital on the outskirts of Chicago. And inside, on an operating table, Lily was already being prepped for surgery. The abandoned St. Augustine Hospital loomed against Chicago's night sky like a gravestone. 5 stories of shattered windows and institutional decay, condemned 3 years ago after bankruptcy. But the surgical lights blazing from the 3rd floor told a different story. Reaper killed his engine 2 blocks out. Behind him, Sienna dismounted from Jax's bike, checking her FBI-issued Glock with lethal precision. Marcus clung to Snake despite barely being conscious, his bandages soaked crimson. Doc Sterling had begged them to leave him behind. Marcus refused. For minutes, Sienna whispered, checking her watch. That's all I can give you before my backup arrives. After that, this becomes federal jurisdiction and you lose control. 4 minutes to breach a fortified facility and stop a surgery already in progress. Jax's voice was grim. That's suicide odds. Then we make them count. Reaper racked his shotgun, the metallic sound like a judge's gavel. Marcus stays with Snake. No. Marcus slid off the bike, barely staying upright. Morrison murdered my mother. I finished this. You can barely walk. Then I'll crawl. Those 12-year-old eyes burned with something ancient and unbreakable. My mom died stopping these people. I don't stop until they're done. Reaper recognized that fire, the same refusal to surrender that made this kid take 3 knives for a stranger. He nodded once. They approached through overgrown grounds, using rusted equipment and crumbling walls for cover. 2 guards flanked the entrance. Private security with scorpion tattoos visible on their necks. Sienna moved like a shadow. 2 suppressed shots whispered through the darkness. Both guards collapsed silently. Advanced tactical training, she said, catching Reaper's expression. Not everything about me was a lie. Inside, the hospital was a monument to decay. Peeling paint, exposed wiring, corridors lit by emergency lights running off generators. But the 3rd floor gleamed with new construction. Sealed doors. Antiseptic sharpness cutting through rot. Morrison had built a surgical suite inside a corpse. They hit the stairwell hard. Halfway up, 3 guards materialized above them, weapons raised. Jax and Bones fired in perfect sync. The stairwell exploded with thunder and muzzle flashes. 2 guards dropped. The 3rd retreated, screaming coordinates into his radio. They know we're here, Sienna said. 45 seconds before we're swimming in hostiles. 3rd floor doors burst open. Gunfire erupted from both corridor ends. Reaper dove behind a destroyed nurse's station, the shotgun roaring back. Bones flanked left, Jax right, both moving like the combat veterans they were. Marcus pressed against the wall, then pointed with a trembling hand. There. Or 3. The lights. Through reinforced glass, 50 feet away, surgical lights blazed. Green-gowned figures moved with purpose around 2 tables. On one lay Lily, small, still, terrifyingly vulnerable. Most people watch evil win. Don't be one of them. Like and subscribe now. Reaper's world compressed to a single point. That door. That room. His daughter. He charged. Bullets screamed past. One caught his shoulder, spinning him sideways. He didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Hit the doors with 200 pounds of fury and desperation. They exploded inward. The operating room froze mid-motion. Surgeon with scalpel raised over Lily's exposed abdomen. Anesthesiologist monitoring machines. And Morrison himself. Hospital gown, for lines, lying on the adjacent table, positioned to receive what they were about to steal. The scalpel hovered 1 inch from cutting. Move that blade, and I paint the walls with your brain, Reaper said quietly. The shotgun never wavered. The surgeon's eyes went wide above his mask. He threatened my wife and children. And I'm threatening you. Choose. The scalpel clattered to the floor. Morrison laughed from his table. Weak, wet, defiant. Beautiful timing. The hero arrives at the perfect moment. Except biology doesn't care about heroics. She's mine. My DNA. My kidney. My second chance at life. You're nothing to her, Reaper growled. You threw her away at birth. I was 23. A rookie cop with ambitions. Morrison tried sitting up, but failed, too ravaged by kidney failure. Her mother was a junkie informant who refused to terminate. So I made arrangements. Gave her up. Built my career. Survived. He coughed blood into a basin beside him. Then dialysis. 3 years watching my kidneys fail, my body poison itself. And I remembered, I have a daughter. A perfect genetic match. So I found her. Protected her. Made sure she stayed healthy. All for this moment. She's not spare parts, Sienna said from the doorway, weapon trained on Morrison's head. She's a human being. She's my salvation. Morrison's eyes blazed with dying desperation. I've earned this. 27 years protecting a city that hates cops. I deserve to live. She should be honored to save her father. Marcus pushed forward, stumbling into the room, pressing one hand to his reopened wounds. My mother uncovered your operation. The missing girls. The blood typing. The mobile surgical theaters. You weren't just trafficking. You were harvesting them for organs and selling to the highest bidders. Morrison's smile was skeletal. Your mother was exceptional. Too exceptional. She connected patterns that should have remained invisible. Found the medical records, the shell corporations, the international buyers. So yes, I killed her. Personally. Watched her drown in the Chicago River while she begged for her son. Marcus's hand moved toward the gun in his waistband, Bones' backup piece. Don't, Reaper warned. Marcus, don't. He murdered my mother, and shooting him makes you exactly what he is. Reaper's voice gentled. Your mom died fighting for justice the right way. Honor her. Don't let him turn you into a killer. Marcus's hand shook violently. Tears carved through the dirt on his face. 12 years old, carrying impossible weight. Lily stirred on the table, anesthesia incomplete. Her eyes opened, unfocused, searching, finding Reaper. Daddy, small voice. Confused. Terrified. Want to go home. Something fundamental shifted in Marcus. The gun lowered. FBI is 60 seconds out, Sienna reported. Extract now or explain everything to federal prosecutors. What about him? Jax indicated Morrison with disgust. Morrison laughed that horrible wet sound. You can't touch me. Arrest me, I lawyer up. Evidence gets suppressed. Witnesses discredited. Captain Stone has protection all the way to justice. We walk, and next time, we succeed. Not if you're dead, Bones suggested flatly. Then you're murderers, and the club burns. Morrison's grin widened. Checkmate. Thousands scroll past without subscribing. Prove you're different. Like this video right now. Reaper looked at Lily, 7 years old, innocent, seconds from being butchered. Looked at Marcus, 12 years old, orphaned, bleeding, fighting for justice the system wouldn't deliver. Looked at Sienna, wife, betrayer, ally, whose lies had somehow led them here. He made his choice. Sienna, when FBI arrives, you found Morrison and this surgeon mid-kidnapping. You're the hero who saved Lily. Marcus's mother's evidence supports everything. Morrison gets arrested, prosecuted, convicted. And Stone? Sienna asked. Marcus spoke up, voice steady now. I know where Stone is. My mom's files included his emergency protocols. Safe houses. Escape routes. Offshore accounts. He looked at Sienna. I give you everything. You take him down legally. Deal, Sienna said. But it takes time. Months, maybe years. Then we wait, Marcus replied. My mom waited 3 years building her case. I can be patient. Sirens screamed outside. Multiple vehicles, real FBI flooding the perimeter. Reaper disconnected Lily's IVs with gentle hands and lifted her off the table. She wrapped around him like she'd never let go. Got you, baby. Daddy's got you. You're safe. They evacuated through a service corridor as federal agents stormed the main entrance. But this time, They didn't run. Sienna badged them through, explaining the situation, establishing her cover story. Morrison was arrested on site, too weak to resist. The surgeon cooperated immediately, turning evidence in exchange for immunity. And Marcus handed over every file his mother had compiled. 3 years of investigation, preserved on encrypted drives, ready to destroy an empire. 6 months later, Navy Pier, Chicago. Marcus stood at the railing overlooking Lake Michigan, wearing a new jacket, plain black with a small Hells Angels support patch his adoptive family had given him. His chest had healed, leaving 3 scars he'd carry forever. Beside him, Lily drew pictures with sidewalk chalk, her laughter bright and clean. Reaper and Sienna stood nearby, his arm around her shoulders. Their marriage was different now. No more lies, no more undercover operations. She'd transferred to white-collar crime division. Desk work, family dinners, honesty. Morrison got 40 years federal, Sienna said. No parole possibility. He'll die in prison. Good, Marcus said simply. And Stone? Marcus smiled. Not the broken kid from 6 months ago, but something stronger. Your FBI task force arrested him in Vancouver last week. Extradition approved. Trial starts in September. Your people built the case using my mom's files. She's finally getting justice. The wind came off the lake, carrying the smell of summer and new beginnings. She'd be proud of you, Reaper said, hand on Marcus's shoulder. Your mother. She'd be so damn proud. Marcus nodded, not trusting his voice. Lily ran over, holding up a chalk drawing. Look, it's our family. 4 stick figures holding hands. Reaper, Sienna, Lily, and Marcus. Above them, a 5th figure with angel wings. That's Marcus's mom, Lily explained. She's watching over us. Marcus took the drawing with shaking hands. Yeah, he whispered. Yeah, she is. They stayed at the pier until sunset painted the Chicago skyline gold and crimson. A broken family, rebuilt from tragedy and blood and impossible choices. Not perfect, not whole, but together. And somewhere in federal prison, Morrison lay dying, his body rejecting dialysis, his empire destroyed, his daughter lost to him forever by his own evil actions. Justice, Marcus learned, wasn't always immediate, but it was inevitable, and it was enough.